year. We are on the 5th of Shvat. Hey Shvat marks the Hilula of a really great former chief rabbi of Israel. His name was Harav Chaim David Hazan, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, one of the great rabbis of his time. He was born in 1790 and passed away in the year 1869. He was, as well as being a chief rabbi, Rishon Lezion, as we say, in Jerusalem, he was also the head of the Jewish court in Izmir in Turkey, respectively. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, he was born in Izmir, in Turkey. And remember, at that point in time, there was a very great Torah community in of itself in Turkey, and his father was a great Rab, Rav Raphael Yosef Hazan, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Reina, I believe, from the family of Pelagi, the great family which produced many great rabbis of yesteryear, among the most famous rabbis in the world. I believe it was actually on Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan in the Hebrew year, Hey Tav Kuf Nun Aleph, around 1790 in of itself. While he was young, he would actually learn how to perform shechita, kosher slaughter in of itself, and will become one of the head shochets in Izmir, respectively. Very prominent position at that point in time. And really did learn a huge amount of Torah. I think come what year 1840, he would be appointed, let's just say, the head rabbi in that city, in Izmir in of itself, which was a great position because it was a huge time period of Torah flourishing in of itself. And to be appointed on this pinnacle position in of itself for a 15-year period. Come with the year 1855, he would travel to Eretz Yisrael, to the land of Israel in of itself, and he would actually settle in Jerusalem. And over there he would be appointed the head of the Jewish court. In Jerusalem in of itself, there was many different great people in the Jewish court, including the famous Rabbi Moshe Benavisti, Harav Yitzchak Cordovero, Harav Yitzchak Kalmaro, Harav Avram Amar, and many of them he was, I believe, a deputy, if I'm not mistaken, of the Chacham Bashi at that point in time, the famous Rabbi Chaim Nissim Abu Lafia. He happened to be a very great rabbi. I believe he was the 25th Rishon Lezion. He was naturally the Rishon Lezion before him. And I think at the time period, shortly later, Rabbi Abu Lafia will become sick, and it will become that Rabbi Rav Hazan will actually then end up taking on the mantelpiece, let's just say, in the Sibur in of itself at that point in time. Very interesting. Now, remember, the Rishon Lezion title, the job in of itself is, let's just say, one of the most prominent positions in Jewish history all throughout in of itself. So he would actually become the leader and the head of public affairs in of itself. That's very widely reported over, I believe, in the year 1859. He would go on a shlichut as a rabbinic emissary along with 5 other great rabbis of Jerusalem, and I believe they would actually travel to Vienna. Very interesting. In Austria, naturally. And I think they would then return shortly afterwards to Jerusalem. It was a very famous journey of the great rabbis. Come with the year 1861, Rabbi Abu Lafia passed away, and Rabbi Hazan eventually was, let's just say, elected to become the appointment as the Rishon Lezion. Remember, he had some work experience beforehand when Rabbi Abu Lafia was sick 2 years beforehand. So now he was actually, at that stage in time, in 1861, the chief rabbi, a very prominent position, and obviously, that brought a lot of responsibility in of itself. He worked extensively, let's say, on behalf of agricultural settlements in the land of Israel. And he was in contact with many great rabbis. He advised planting, let's just say, for example, I think there was Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch Kalishar, another great rabbi he was corresponding with, I think one of the forerunners of Zionism, who advised him to, let's say, plant willow trees in the village of Shiloh. Very interesting enough. He took on various different other important projects in of itself, including the famous project, the Batei Machsha. That Batei Machsha is very much featured in the old city of Jerusalem, quite near the Kotel in of itself. It was an apartment complex between the years 1860 to 1890, very much during his time period in of itself. Then in the year 1863, it was reported over a large gathering was held in Jerusalem, and that was an initiative of Rabbi Hazan, and many great dignitaries of all different denominations were actually joining forces. Let's see how they can improve the agricultural work in this fantastic country of Eretz Yisrael, and how great it was. And I believe following this specific gathering, which she organized, 100 families announced their desire to move to go into agricultural work, and the committee was naturally headed by various different great rabbis, including the famous Rabbi Hazan, Rabbi Chaim and Rabbi Moshe ben Avisti, really great rabbis. And whether it came into fruition or not, to the level that it wanted to, is another topic in of itself. But it was just amazing how, at that point in time, we're talking about the mid-1800s, such an initiative brought so many people. It was astounding. However, I think at that point in time with the Turkish government, there was deteriorating relations, let's just say, in of itself, within regards to the Jewish community and the Turkish government at that point in time. He lived, I believe, in the neighborhood in... I think the Mishkanot Sha'ananim, I think, was just outside the city walls, if I'm not mistaken. Come what the year 1865, I think the plague, the cholera plague, actually broke out in Jerusalem. Unfortunately, this obviously, let's just say, this epidemic made a big impact on the specific area in of itself, and it was a troublesome time all over the vicinity. And I think eventually in the year 1869, I think it was on naturally the 5th of Shvat, which we're talking about, he passed away. And he was buried on Har Hazaitim, the Mount of Olives burial plot in of itself. It's actually reported over there's a street in the Bukhari neighborhood in Jerusalem, very prominent area in of itself, that is named after him. Now let's explore his family. He left a great family. His wife's name was Rabbanit Joya Esther, I believe. She happened to be the daughter of another great rabbi of Israel. He was actually the father of hers was a famous gvir, a great chesed rabbi that would give a lot of money. Yisrael Chaim Hamtzi. Very interesting enough. I believe she passed away in the 1862, and he would get married second time to Rabbanit Sultana, if I'm not mistaken. I think, if I'm not mistaken, his brother was Rabbi Eliyahu Hazan, and Eliezer Hazan, he had Yitzchak Hazan. And his oldest sister was Kaleh Kadin, if I'm not mistaken. And his mother, I think she happened to be the mother, if I'm not mistaken, of Rabbi Chaim Pelagi, if I'm not mistaken, but I have to double check on that. Among his sons include Rav Avram Hazan, who lived, I think, between the years 1815 to 1875, who was a shochet in of itself. Famous rabbi in Izmir, then Rav Gershon Hazan, who passed away in the 1870, and Rav Yoshua Hazan passed away in the 1877, and there was more great members in his family. Itself very interesting enough. Now he wrote some great Torah books, including the Torah Zevach, which was Dineh on the laws of Shita, kosher slaughter, in the Seder of Aleph Bet in itself, the Nadiv Lev, which is Shelot and Shuvot, a question and answer book on the Shulchan Aruch, Yativ Lev, which is various sermons, Trushim, it was printed in Izmir, respectively, and the Yeshrei Lev, which is Pesachei Dinim, in the order of the Aleph Bet. Once again, very interesting enough. He was one of the great rabbis of his time. It's actually interesting. I believe his granddaughter, Rabbanit Sarah, was a mother of Rab Ben Sion Meir Chai Uziel, who would go on to become a chief Sephardi rabbi of Israel at the time of the formation of the state. So please don't forget to light candles in the great rabbi's memory. It's here on Hey Shvat, the 5th of Shvat, Rabbi Chaim David Hazan, Zecher Tzadik Livraham, one of the great rabbis of his time. It would actually be Rav Avram Ashkenazi, would become the 27th Rishon Lציון chief rabbi after he passed away, which has to be pointed out, and he was a great rabbi at the time of a generation, which included Rabbi Chaim Pelagi. So wishing all well, take care, and be well.